Bendiciones, everybody. Alafia. So today we got a very, very special guest. You know, the man, the myth, the legend, Baba Joseph Ifa. What's up, brother?
Brujo, what's good, man? Thank you so much. I love the being called the myth, man. That's the first one, but that's pretty awesome. Thank you so much.
No, seriously, like, and we'll get into it, but your knowledge of Odu, bro, is a thing of like legend and like mythology. Like, I never met a person who is like a computer for Odu. That is
Yes,
crazy.
yeah. I never really expected it to be like that. I remember when I first started studying Ifa, I was actually pretty intimidated because I remember I saw my godfather do Ebo for the first time, and then I would see him. He was starting to let me sit in on the readings once I gave the money. And I was pretty intimidated because I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to apply myself like that to be able to learn those things and be able to recall them. So when I actually did Ifa and I started learning prayers, like to be able to, perform a bowl, I actually incorporated a study method that I learned in remedial collegiate classes because I was very bad at mathematics leaving high school, but I still was able to get an academic scholarship. So it was a little bit of a conundrum. So they had me take some study courses. And I remember when I did EFI, I said, well, I don't know how to study other than what I learned in college. So let me see if that applies. And little by little, I was able to, start memorizing things. And then I attribute my knowledge to Odu, first and foremost, to the amazing library that my godfather, Ogundata Tura, gave me. And then apart from that, all of the brothers that, spoke Ifa around me, that really stuck as well. But just pounding the information in. I mean, per sign, I studied a month. Some I finished quicker, some took longer. But, I calculated in the very beginning if I took a month per sign, I'd know the whole oracle pretty well in 20 years. And Ifa is a long game, it's an old man's game to a certain
Right.
degree. So, I said if I pace myself out this way, I'll be able to recollect enough information in a reading to be worth the cost of it.
Right. And you know the thing about Odu, man. And this is something that I learned from an elder of mine. Odu is unique in the fact that it's never ending. You
Yeah,
know, so Odu is constantly being written. You know what I'm saying? A person is born with an Odu. Let's say somebody is born with, Oyiku Meji or something like that, right? In the course of their life, they are going through the experience of that Odu.
correct.
And so, therefore, this is getting written into, I guess, what people who study Kemet would say the Akashic records, right? It's getting written and it's becoming a part of Odu. So now when that person, based on their challenges or experiences that they go through with Odu, you know, um, they may develop a story, right? Let's say now that person translates that to Yoruba and they teach that to their child, who in turn teaches it to their grandchild, who in turn teaches it to their grandchildren. When that person who originally lived out Odu is said and gone, and those children are chanting that story in Yoruba through Odu, they are now bringing in the power of their ancestry. And this is how you get a lot of Odu chants and verses that nobody knows about that are like specific to that family. We see this a lot in Isheshe where like you're like, where you hear that verse from? But that really came from like an ancestor that was born Oshetora and went through this as an Oshetora and kept it in an oral tradition. That's like the amazing thing of like our tradition, man. Because Odu can never fit all in one book. You
No,
know what I'm saying? Like,
no.
so yeah, can you speak to like the endlessness of Odu?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Well, the word Odu or Odun, when we really translate it, means year. So it makes reference to time. Um, you know, why is it never ending? Because Ifa is alive. When we look at what an Odu of Ifa is, it's nothing more than a spiritual double helix of DNA. So within the matrix that we live in, each of us represents that combination, and our experiences are what are compiled to be able to be passed down. Remember that the patakis, or the SFA as they're known, they were written by men. Now, it's a little more profound than just divine inspiration, because they were actually living it. It wasn't a message that was necessarily transferred to them via some spirituality per se, even though that is a possibility, and I'm sure there are some pataki that were influenced that way. But I want to say the original text that we have, whether it's Cuba or Nigeria, these were experiences that people actually lived or were given. The information was given by people who were actually there to provide firsthand accounts of information. So that's where it comes from. And then, I go through that a lot, where on the channel, sometimes I'll say a story or a version of a story from a sign, and some of the brothers will come to me and be like, where'd you get that? And we're very blessed within my lineage. I mean, we only have to go back 4 gentlemen to be able to, reconnect with Africa, where some other lineages within the Lukumi, they have to go possibly 10 to 15 men. So I have a lot of firsthand information, stuff that I would consider artifact or relic at this point, that had to be laminated because, it was falling apart, or the ink was fading, or, what have you. But that's what is the best testament, is that Ifa is alive, and we're writing our story as we're living it. Whether it's your Odu, whether it's my Odu, Avidete Suka. I mean, we are, new things happen, and you can leave behind your life story. And, if somebody has that Odu or is referencing that Odu, and this happens all the time where, hey, Baba Joseph went through this, or saying, or Brujo went through this, or, it's ultimate reference material so we can lead better lives and not make the same mistakes that we did in the past one.
Yeah. So you saying you can't buy a book that contains our whole story for $9.99 in a Walmart.
Oh God, no! Not even in Botanica Candles and More. To be frank with you, I mean, it's not. And we're very ethical people, so those are things that we would really not allow to be on the shelves either. Because that's why
Right.
you need a Baba to guide you through this. Because there are certain verses and whatnot that are very initiation specific, and there's a
Hmm.
curse upon this information. Not that it's cursed to read it, but the old Babalaos, they left enchantments and things like that on this literature, Orumila himself did, so that whoever read it that wasn't supposed to, they could lose a couple things. They could lose their mind, they could lose their
Hmm.
partner, they could lose their family. So that's why it's really important to not delve into information that doesn't pertain to you. And then apart from that, have a Baba that can guide you through this to be able to always fall into Ire and never into taboo when it comes to studying. Because there is a lot you can study before doing Ifa or Osha. But you want to
Hmm.
be guided. So there is that mentorship aspect to be able to protect yourselves.